Warm welcome, this is Markus Termin at the 26th of May 2024. The moon is in the sign of Capricorn and the sun is in the sign of Gemini. That's not the full moon constellation anymore, and as we see, there has been a major change. Venus shifted to the sign of Gemini too, and as you can see, this night Jupiter entered the sign of Gemini. He will stay there until I think June 2025, and the most important aspect he's going to throw these days is the trine to Pluto. So this is what brings in the energy for change, and there's a revolutionary mood, to put things upside down out there. As you might recognize, getting a little closer, we spent some month where Neptune always was, how could we put that, the lender of the last resort, something like that, because everything in the zodiac was, after all, pushed towards Neptune, because Neptune was the ruler of it all. Now, Neptune still is the ruler, of course, of Pisces. Saturn is in the sign of Pisces. The moon right now is in Saturn's sign Capricorn, so there's still the combination of three signs, which is Capricorn. The old ruler Saturn of Aquarius is also in Pisces. So these signs are kind of walking together, being combined by the ruler of Neptune. But Mars is not. Mars is ruling his own sign. Venus just left her own sign, but it's not a real reception, but it's a kind of a reception. The ruler of Venus is in Gemini, and the Gemini ruler Mercury is in the Venus sign of Taurus. But as I said, reception would be a real aspect which is not given. But still, the meaning is that Neptune doesn't rule it overall anymore. And as you might discover, the truth movement, more and more is getting out there. With a retrograde perspective of Pluto in the sign of freedom, for instance, in the German movement of liberty, let's put it that way, a lot of people focus on the fact whatever happened to the unity of the movement. Wasn't there a certain point of time when we found out that the idea of having a common direction, and not quarreling around all the time, not sending out, there's a German word for it, division, Spaltung, we say, things like that. This is all happening, and as Pluto is retrograde, people are realizing that, having a focus on that and think, well, what about unity again? As we know, in this autumn, Pluto will move back to the sign of Capricorn and will try for one last time to put the foot down on the ground and saying this is going to be the rule for everybody. But as you might notice, those concepts are failing one by the other. This is the reality that we see. And this is dissolving structures, of course, and what kind of structures are being dissolved? Those who are not being built on a solid ground. On the other hand, if you have the trine in between Gemini and Aquarius, this is very, very good for nice, liberating future ideas. This is where we are out at, actually. And if you want to use Mars positively, I keep repeating that, it's initiative, it's go for it, it's start it, do something new. Mercury in the sign of Taurus is a brilliant company for any kind of for instance, real estate business. Mercury is the contract, Apollo's brother stealing the cows, getting the benefits to the side where maybe you long to have them. This is the overall situation. But to focus on the most important aspect of the day, for me, it's the trine in between those airy planets in the sign of Gemini and Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. And of course, it's going to be interesting. What is Jupiter going to do in the sign of Gemini? Not to forget, he's not at home in Gemini because he's at home in Sagittarius. Gemini is in opposition to Sagittarius, so Jupiter does not feel home in the sign of information actually, because he's not information, he's wisdom, he's knowledge, wisdom, but he's not the detailed information, and that means he's a stranger in Gemini. That doesn't mean that he doesn't do anything. Especially the Gemini persons and those who own air signs or have a rising air sign, they will have massive profits from Jupiter in the sign of Gemini. And also it's what it's needed. We need to have some movement of thinking or getting into the thinking at all. What is thinking? It's not that difficult. It's just making a difference, not just using head, heart, and the belly, the feelings of the decision, but also having a possibility to make differences, to know this is just an argument being pushed out there to capture people by their feelings, by their goodwill, which is the heart actually, but they always have a lack of thinking. And this is, in my sense, very positive to achieve if we have a trine in between Aquarius forces and Gemini forces. Thank you very much for listening for today. This is Markus Termin at the Sunday of the 26th of May 2024.